It has to do with the Browns' record. This topic is brought to us by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing. And whether you're about baseball, soccer, golf, you name it, FanDuel is the best place to make bets on whatever you so choose. We already know you're following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game from anywhere, including the beach. If you're new to FanDuel, we got an offer just for you. New customers can bet $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. So yesterday, USA Today put out its record predictions for all 32 NFL teams. And we're going to run through a couple of the notable ones because it relates back to the Cleveland Browns. Let's start with USA Today's predictions for the AFC North. USA Today predicted the Ravens to finish 14-3, the Steelers 11-6, the Bengals 9-8, and the Browns at 3-4. 3-4 is not the worst record in football. We'll get to that in a sec. The other team,
3-14.
3-14. Sorry. The other team of interest for Cleveland will be Jacksonville because the Browns own Jacksonville's first-round pick next year. According to USA Today, the AFC South looks like this: the Texans at 10-7, the Jaguars at 8-9, the Titans at 5-12, the Colts at 4-13. Steve, let's take the next graphic here, just so we have this all. The worst records in football for next season, according to USA Today: the Saints and Giants at 2-15 each. The Browns would have the third worst record at 3-14. The Colts 4-13. Miami, Tennessee, and Vegas all going 5-12. And then the opposite end of the spectrum, the best records in football, according to USA Today, will be the Ravens, the Bills, the Eagles, the Packers, and the Broncos. So I wanted to ask you this, and Jason, I'll start with you.
Look at that.
That's mildly insane, but okay.
Well, yeah, they're all insane, and we'll parse into each of the highs, the lows, and the divisions in a second. But for the sake of this first part of this question, if the Browns end up at 3-14 with the third pick, and Jacksonville ends up at 8-9, and that would fall somewhere in the 11-15 range, depending on tiebreakers.
Yeah.
How would you come away from this season feeling if that was the end result?
Well, again, we've talked about this before. It depends on how you get there, and it depends on what it looks like. 3-14 is ugly. Obviously, it's really bad. Jimmy's already come out and said they got to do better than that. I don't know that necessarily that really means anything ultimately in terms of job loss at the end of the season. But if we're being totally honest, 3-14 is probably right where they want to be, because then it gives them the opportunity to go out and get the quarterback that they want in next year's draft. And I know people get sick of hearing that. That's the reality of where they stand, and they're just trying to make it through the season, try and find some pieces that can help them moving forward, and drop in the quarterback after next year's draft. That's how they're approaching this season, unless and until somebody gives them reason to believe otherwise. One of these young quarterbacks gives them to believe that maybe they have the answer. So it would be miserable to go through 3-14 again. I don't know how you can go through 3-14, come out the other side and say, okay, we feel good about the quarterback we have in place, or we feel good about X. Like the Patriots, I know that everyone says, okay, well, they feel really good about Drake May. I guess there's a world where that happens, where you win 3 games and yet you come out of this feeling really good about Shador and Dillon and thinking like you got your guy in place. But again, they are entering this season believing their future quarterback is not on the roster. Do you know how much work these young guys have to do between now and the end of the season to prove to them that that's not true? So, I mean, 3-14 would be miserable. In Jacksonville, you'd like to see be a little bit worse than that, obviously. I think 7-10, 6-11, something like that. They could also be 10-7 just as easily, I think.
That division's bad.
Yeah.
But because you're playing other bad teams 6 times,
you're going to run into some wins.
You're going to run into some wins.
Yeah. So,
I mean, let's keep it real. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be generational.
He was, and he hasn't been.
We've seen 2 Trevor Lawrences.
Can we, if maybe the light bulb goes off
again,
and if it does, you're like, oh, okay. They got weapons. They got
sure.
2 great young receivers. They're not trash. Like if you look at their roster, the thing is, Jason, if it's 3-14, I think Kev will still be here. 3-14, I don't think Andrew can survive.
I don't either. I've said
I don't
all
think-
along. I can't believe he's
Depends
still
on how
here.
this rookie class plays.
And yes,
Yeah.
So to me,
But if you're 3-14,
he has
in all
one.
likelihood, they're not huge contributors.
But that's so indicative of the quarterback, though.
It is, but you've got guys on defense that you've drafted highly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what they do.
And Judkins, we'll talk about it in another show. It looks like that timetable got a little bit longer. Like maybe I thought, okay, well, let's see if we can get this trial thing and figure it out. They're like, yeah, we're gonna waive our rights to a free trial. So I don't know when he's gonna be back. But if you're 3-14 and he doesn't play an awful lot, I don't know how you can go into a process and say that you really want Andrew Berry to pick the next quarterback. Because if I'm gonna do 3-14 twice, and you had quarterbacks this year, they didn't do nothing. He saw Baker Mayfield up close. He didn't like that. They liked Deshaun Watson. That didn't work. I think there will be collateral damage going 3-14. I think Stefanski, based on, I guess, his success in the past, has a better opportunity to do that than Andrew Berry. I don't know how they can say we're going to come back and just run it back at 3-14.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And if they do, I'll be disappointed. Look, my hope is that Andrew Berry is here for another 10 years. That means that they turn it around quickly and they have success. My fear is that they're not going to have success this year. I've got them at 4 wins this year. When you look at the schedule, it's funny. When you play the schedule game, I don't know where they come from.
Yeah.
But you know the NFL. You beat a couple teams you're not supposed to. You lose to a couple teams you're not supposed to.
I'm not sure there's a team out there they're not supposed to lose to.
I don't think
me
they'll be
see.
favored in any game this year. I couldn't. As I was going through, I'm like, okay, who am I going to favor them against?
Yeah.
First 5, they're big underdogs, all of them. When you go through it, you don't know where the wins are going to come from. But there are teams on there. I suppose you could go into New
Patriots.
England and get a win.
Okay.
I suppose you could. I suppose you could go into New York and get
Jets,
a win.
too.
Those 2 are on the road. Those are winnable games if they're home. You could win against the Raiders. That game is on the road.
Titans.
49ers, you're not beating. Titans, that's the one that I think they could be, depending on how the season plays out,
Right.
they could be favored in that one. But the weak teams on their schedule, they have at their place. So I don't know. I don't know where the wins come from. My mind tells me I could see a world where they only win 2. But I am an internal optimist when it comes to this kind of stuff and think, my God, there can't be that big a gap between the team that was thought to be in the mix for a playoff run last year coming into the season and now. That's just a year removed. And now we're like, oh yeah, 3-14. So I'm not ready to buy that yet. I think 4 wins is a good number. I think for Andrew Berry to keep his job, it has to be more like 6 wins, and we have to see something from the kids. We have to see this rookie class go ball out. Right now, if you could go in the Wayback Machine and redo the running backs, are you still taking Judkins, or are you going to take Travion Henderson?
What you mean? I give
So how many quarterbacks?
now Travion Henderson looks beautiful.
He looked beautiful to me then.
But it's such an
all that
unfair
being
revision
said-
of
It is.
history, though.
It is.
It
But
is.
hey,
It
I
is,
hear what you're
but-
saying,
hey.
but it's such an unfair.
Sure it is, but guess what? That's what they're judged on. Here's another thing they're judged on. How many quarterbacks has Andrew Berry brought to Cleveland? Let's count them up. 12?
a lot.
I mean, like the
How many
rookies-
quarterbacks have the Browns signed?
I don't know that quarterbacks are created equally here.
Okay.
No, they're not. But how many? And of course, obviously, Deshaun Watson is the big fish.
Yes.
And that was the big flop.
Yes.
So how many quarterbacks has he brought into Cleveland? In other words, he's done the legwork. He's looked at what they are.
I mean, you want to put Jeff Driscoll in the same category as Deshaun? That
no,
doesn't seem like a.
it's the body of work. It's all of them added together. Now, granted, if you're lucky, you hit on one, and it doesn't matter what you do with the other ones.
Correct.
But when you brought 15 in and none of them have hit,
Yeah, but
that's an issue.
the only one that
I mean,
you-
Joe Flacco hit. That's it. That's it.
There's degrees to this. I don't think you can say how many quarterbacks has he brought when you're talking about guys like Jeff Driscoll and P.J. Walker. Like, you can't put those guys in the same
Okay, well then,
Technically, P.J.
then
Walker's
let's
a
just
hit
judge
because
him
he
on
had a winning
Deshaun
record.
Watson then. Let's judge him on Deshaun Watson.
I mean, the Watson thing was a disaster. It was
Yeah.
a total disaster.
And so, looking forward, and I think you've got it right. I think that Stefanski has enough equity here with his 2 NFL Coach of the Year awards and 2 trips to postseason football that I think he can withstand another 3-win season. I don't see that Andrew Berry has enough hay in the barn right now that he can take another 3 or 4 teams.
You want me to tell you how Kevin keeps AB here?
Yeah.
Kevin has the – I was talking to Bull about this a couple weeks ago. Bull's like, what do they see in him, basically? Because if you look at AB's draft records, it's horrendous. But
it's all bad.
I think – and I don't know this. This is just me going off what little feel I have for how the Haslams operate. I think Jimmy looks at this as we finally have a head coach and a GM who call it the same way, who see it the same way. They're not fighting against each other. They're not battling for control and for power. And you don't have the GM kicking people out of the room and the head coach. Like, all that used to go on in Bria all the time. And they don't have that anymore. They finally have unity.
That's the lowest common denominator of success.
When it's the first time you've had that in your entire ownership
But you're
group,
3-14 and 3-14.
Agreed. But I think when
I could go in there and agree on everything, but lose.
But when he really likes the people that he has in place, he likes them as humans. He likes the character of AB and Kevin. He believes. I believe that Jimmy feels like, and he took accountability for this in March. You guys told me to stop pushing on Deshaun, and I said no. We got to go. We got to finish this off and get this thing over the line. So he's taken ownership of that when everybody else in the building was telling him, we can't do this. Like, you can't guarantee the whole thing. We have to pull out. And Jimmy said, no, we got to go. So I think he's taking ownership of the Deshaun thing. I think he likes the people he has in place. I think he likes that he has cohesion and unity, and they see it the same way. And I think he's scared of making it worse. Well, that if he fires these guys, he can. He can make it worse.
Look,
3-14 and 3-14. If they do it again this year, how much worse can it get?
It's crazy. I can't.
Jackson.
But that's not. Here's the problem.
I'm not defending those as good reasons. I'm just saying I think that's how he sees it.
And guess what? I know you.
If you co-sign
that's not
another
you.
year, you're co-signing losing.
I think that the fan base is going to say this. Listen, man.
Okay.
We did the 1-31, and we did the 1-31 so that we can build towards something.
Yep.
And we did build towards something. We got the quarterback. We got every position that you said you needed. You got the defensive end. You got the franchise cornerback. You got the quarterback. You had a stable of running backs. You had a great offensive line.
Yep.
And every single year since we put it together, year after year after year after year, you've started to get older, and you've never replaced anybody.
To that point, this is a question I think needs to be asked. After next season, you could ask it today if you wanted. Are you closer to building a championship team today than you were when you walked in the building? And I'm sorry, Jay, that should be the question.
When you walked in the building 10 years ago?
When Andrew Berry walked in the building.
Yes.
But we did this story a couple of weeks ago. Somebody had the Browns ranked as the 13th best franchise in the NFL. Now they're 31st. So clearly we're not in better position. But I believe that when at the end of the season, when teams do their autopsies and they take inventory of what they have moving forward, the ultimate question that absolutely has to be asked, and there are a lot of things that factor into this, injuries and whatnot, but the ultimate question that decides, are you going to move forward with the people you have in the building? Are you closer to a championship team today than we were last year, than we were 2 years ago, than we were when you walked in the building?
Well, here's the
have
thing.
you made us better or have you made us worse?
Well, here's the thing. Their contention window is closed. All that they went through, 1-31, the stupid parade and all that stuff.
Oh.
Everything that this franchise endured was for one playoff win. They got one playoff win out of it. That's it.
Yep.
Now that window is over. So when you say they were 13th and now they're 31 or whatever, well, that's because now they're in a rebuild, whether they want to call
they
it
were
that or not.
13th when we did that story. Maybe you weren't here that day. Mike gave us numbers. They were 13th when Andrew Berry was hired.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's where they were.
Like when Berry was hired, they had the quarterback they thought in place. They had an offense that looked pretty potent at times. So they had all the pieces. Well, now that contention window is over.
Well,
Deshaun
it was disassembled under his watch.
Yeah, so I look at it like this. You had Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. You brought in you got Thrashes and David Bells and Schwartz. You replaced Joe Thomas with Jed Wills in the top 10. Bro, you Nick Chubb left. You got Judkins. We don't even have him signed.
Your best player is still your best player when you walked in the building.
Myles Garrett.
Yep.
And you're still not as close. You're not close. They begging Joe Batonio, hey, come on back, dog.
Right.
Because guess what? Zach Zenner looked like he wasn't. He looked like he was not even playable.
Yeah.
So my thing is, yes, I can deal with the contention and the window being closed. But the thing I can't deal with is, what are you doing to restock these
What's
cupboards?
your plan to get out of this?
Where's the cupboards at?
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel every time I cringe is because, yes, I do believe that, yeah, you're going to go through some heartaches and some pains. But the problem is, to get out of those, you're going to have to find other people. So when you need to be finding a quarterback and figuring out, I would rather, if you're going to take these L's, listen, none of these old dudes is playing. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose all the way. Don't play the charade. I'm playing these two young dudes. If they don't win no games, guess what? I'm going to guarantee myself an opportunity to get the #1 overall pick. And then I'll get a quarterback. But I'm not going to play it halfway, get 7 wins with these other dudes, and then have to cut them loose. And by the way, I saw what the Saints did right there. The Saints ain't, if you think, where you think the Manning want to go? You think he want to go to the Saints?
I more and more I think he does not want to be here, and the people around him do not want him to be
If the
here.
Saints get the first pick, guess where he going?
Well, that's where his grandfather played, his namesake.
There it is.
And there was, the news that came out this week was that, Archie said that, Arch is most likely going to go back to school after this year. So you're playing a lottery game when there might not be a ticket available. We don't know what's going to be available in the draft.
I don't know.
I just think it's a very dangerous game.
It's dangerous.
To do that.
Dangerous.